Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Striation 6 podcast. I am Sam Trotta, your host. And as it is with everything I do in the exercise profession, my goal with this podcast is to bring you content to help you feel, function, look, and live better through exercise. And this is a pretty cool series that we're starting today. I'm here with my client, Bob Wyatt, and this series is going to be about Bob's foray into triathlon training and how he's using exercise at Striation 6 and me, in some sense, to help him get there injury free. Bob, how are you?
I'm great. Good to see you, Sam.
Great to see you too. Great to see you too. So, the objective with these episodes is to keep them pretty short and sweet and give everyone an idea of Bob's progress, what's gone on, and what it's like to approach something like triathlon training with maybe a slightly different approach, maybe through a unique lens, particularly leveraging muscle system work, which is a unique service that we have here at Striation 6 to prevent injury along the course of rigorous training like what is required for a triathlon. So, Bob, before I go over the results of your mobility assessment, let's go over your goals in a bit more detail for the benefit of our listeners.
Okay, well, for most of my adult life, I've always wanted to do a triathlon, but like I assume many people, I always found a reason not to take that first step. But I have stayed physically active, lots of skiing, mountain biking, a fair bit of running as well, and true exercise as well, abdominals, that sort of thing, lots of stretching. Some weights, haven't done that too much for a long time. But I also do quite a bit of manual labor, like things like cutting and chopping firewood. And it's old fashioned, but I think it's a really underrated way to get good all body exercise.
So you mean you like chop down trees with an axe kind of thing? Like we got our own Paul Bunyan here?
No, I use a chainsaw for cutting down the tree. Thanks for keeping me honest there, Sam. But I do use an axe to split wood. And I'm going up and down a hill. So I call it's all body exercise. I've been pretty lucky health-wise for sure. But I'm almost approaching, I am approaching 70, almost there, a year and a half off. So I decided I better try to achieve this goal now. And here we are.
So you're making your foray into your first triathlon. And wait, how old did you say you were again?
Yeah. I think you know how old I am, Sam. I'm 68. I'll be 69 by the time I'm actually in the Ottawa triathlon, which is Labor Day of 2025. So I've got some time here. So it's pretty certain to me that I'll need some mobility and strength training. I know I'll get injured while training or face some sort of challenges. And the reason I'm here, or I made the first contact with you, Sam, is I have a good friend who went from double hip replacement to cat skiing in 5 months with your help. That's pretty amazing. That's a great advertisement for the way you train. So that's why I'm here. But I think my question is, I know the results. I'm interested in the process. What's unique about your training and recovery system that you used on my friend and hopefully will be using on me to get impressive results?
Sure. So the system that we use here is called muscle system work. I'm a certified muscle system specialist, and it's a unique approach to exercise and a unique approach to working with people who have injuries, pain, things limiting their full body confidence, let's say. And yours is a unique situation in some regards, but going back to the basic philosophy of MSS, the idea is that the body is basically a series of interdependent and interconnected systems with one computer controlling the whole thing. And when we're dealing with pain or unwanted compensations, unwanted sensations, inexplicable weakness in certain parts of the body, instability in the body, the idea is that so many things in the system can be contributing to this. So many things could be inhibiting what your body could do if only the inhibitions weren't there. So we take a holistic view of the body, starting with a very in-depth assessment, which you've now been through, and moving into a customized, very deliberate approach to eliminating the things holding you back and giving you a really solid foundation to move forward towards whatever your exercise goals are. So whether it's a triathlon or just being able to move through life pain free, we're here to facilitate it for you.
Sounds like you're channeling your inner Danny Roja with your movement is life speech there. Good one. I like
I
it.
like that. I love Ted Lasso. That's like football is life, but football is also death. We want to stay away from the death part. That's kind of
Right.
the point, right? Okay.
No, well, I wanted to ask, like, moving on here,
Yeah.
do you collaborate with other healthcare professionals in this process?
I appreciate the question, and that's actually something we're fairly enthusiastic about. So we have no medical or paramedical health practitioners, so no doctors, no chiros, no physios on staff here at Striation 6. And when doing something like this, when working with human health, I think integrity is paramount. So if in our initial assessment, it's indicated that physiotherapy, chiropractic, medical intervention, that we don't, any other kind of practice that we don't have here is indicated, we refer clients to the practitioners that we know. We would also be willing to collaborate with the client's family physician or any other practitioners that are part of that person's healthcare team. Usually that's where the collaboration ends. If someone is willing to give feedback, that's great. And it's a shame that more feedback isn't exchanged because we believe that keeping our clients moving well and all that it takes to make that happen is the foundation of preventive and proactive health. We need time and lots of success stories. This is a fairly new modality. There are not a lot of practitioners in the world. It's fairly unique, but it's very effective, and we need these success stories to come to life to earn the trust of medical and paramedical professionals.
Right. Well, yeah, I hope I'm one of those success stories.
Yeah, exactly.
It's it's pretty clear this your version of preventive healthcare here is one good way of easing the strain on Canada's healthcare system.
I'd
Um,
love to see that. I'd love to see that. And the strain on the system is real, and I'd love to see more people get healthier before they unintentionally sort of slide into greater levels of sickness or dis-ease. One thing I want to emphasize for everyone here is it's January. We're at the end of it's January 27th as Bob and I are chatting right now. And I want to reaffirm for everyone listening that, Bob, this triathlon journey of yours isn't a New Year's resolution. Like we all know how 90% of those end, and it's usually not in success. And, most people think that the new year is a big opportunity for businesses like mine, but it's actually a big challenge. And it's a great reason for people out there to engage an exercise professional, whether it's a personal trainer or other kind of exercise professional, to help set goals appropriately and actually follow through, make them success rather than, a huge dopamine hit on January 1st and then fizzling out by January 12th.
yeah, no, you're right. I started this crazy idea last fall, and it has more to do with me just wanting to finally do the thing I've been saying I think I can do, for years now. I want to do it before while I still can, or at least before it's some sort of monumental effort for me.
Mhm.
Um, Now I may be deluding myself here, but I think I'm good for the Olympic triathlon's 40K bike ride because I have done a lot of bike riding and still do. I think I'm pretty good for the 10K run. I do that 3 times a week already. I do have to put these things together. But Sam, as you and I have discussed, it's the lead off 1.5K swim that is going to be my nemesis here. Here,
Mm,
my swimming mechanics must be really awful because I've got pretty good cardio fitness out of the water. I just don't seem to have it in the water. So um, I'm hoping your assessment will tell me if my goal's really realistic and given well realistic anyway, given my incredibly advanced stage, I would say.
sure. Well, that's actually a perfect segue into the purpose of this kind of part one of our series here. First, though I know you've asked me before, and I mentioned the assessment earlier in our chat. You asked why the assessment took 2 hour-long sessions and required a very detailed medical history. Now, one thing I do want to say is typically the assessment takes 60 to 90 minutes, but Bob and I got off on a really good foot and we got chatting a little bit. So we took a little longer. We took a little longer, but people out there can definitely count on a 60 to 90-minute assessment. Um, the assessment is unique and it's really critical to the MSS process. The human body is very complex and it's so difficult to really determine the source or sources of pain, and how compromised movement can be so far removed from where it potentially presents. So, uh, you know, both in proximity and in time. So, for example, I'm going through an ankle injury right now, and I've worked on everything from my neck to my shoulder to the extension of my left wrist to trunk rotation. There are all kinds of things that are helping me back on the road to full on repair. And it's surprising how many times an injury in the past, even seemingly a minor one, which clients barely remember until it's drawn out in the process, is the at least potential genesis of their current problem.
I gotta say, I've been feeling a little guilty when I show up for our sessions. You look much worse off than I do, but you are getting better, so
I am
that's
getting
good.
better.
And I think we'll be switching around eventually, where I'm the one limping and you're standing
Well,
tall.
hopefully neither of us are limping.
The assessment process does make sense. I just can't help but think some clients might have a problem with that, right? The length of time,
It is an issue
or
to
the depth.
overcome. It is an issue to overcome. Part of the assessment is really kind of the second, depending on how you look at it, the kind of second or third step of an intake process, that really tries to determine which clients are a best fit for what we do. We may not be a fit for a certain client. We're not in the short term quick fix business. And um, it's important and part of the intake that the intake process filters out clients who are looking for that. Um, I want to work with people who want good long-term outcomes. Okay, I want people who think long-term. And in my opinion, if you're not thinking long-term, you're leaving something on the table. You may be leaving a lot on the table and you may be doing damage to your future self. So for you, which was what was really interesting, is that my top line assessment of you is that you're above average in terms of overall mobility and fitness for your age.
Yeah, I hate that qualifier though, Sam. Maybe just not above average enough to complete a triathlon, right?
The thing is, age is an important. You mentioned you didn't like the qualifier there. I mean, age really is an important qualifier because time is undefeated, right? Time,
Yeah.
really, time is unless there's something I don't know about, time is undefeated. Do you think it'd be okay if I gave kind of a summary of the assessment that we
Yes.
did?
Yeah, please do. Yeah.
All right. So one of the interesting things that you present, Bob, is no pain. I know you mentioned you had some patellofemoral syndrome a few years back, but it was pretty easily remedied, which
Yeah.
is great, and you got back to your scheduled exercise fairly quickly. There's no real significant injury history, and there's no real significant pain holding you back right now. So this is an interesting project for me because it's truly preventive. It's truly preventive in that we want to leverage this technique in order to make it so that you can go through the rigors of training for this triathlon and do it well and hopefully get through it as unscathed as possible. And the key to that is making sure that all of your, that to the greatest extent possible, that your muscle system is stable and that your joints are in the best working order possible. So, some of the interesting things I found because you're such a healthy, fit guy, we were actually able to do a far more extensive assessment than I would have normally been able to do for someone your age. And just, I won't, keep this up too long, but this is a one-page summary of what anyone who comes through for a muscle system work phase one assessment or initial assessment gets. And some of the interesting things that I found here that we found here was that there was quite a bit of limitation in range of motion in your left hip compared to your right hip. There was some limitation in ranges of motion on the left side of your trunk and your left shoulder blade. So there's all this kind of left side stuff going on. And that was pretty intriguing to me. There's also a situation where your right side shoulder blade or shoulders, let's say, sits higher than your left, and the left side of your hip, or excuse me, the right side of your hip sits higher than your left. So you're sort of riding high on the right side in the shoulder, riding high on the right side on the hip. And the interesting lens that this approach takes is that those aren't necessarily things to be corrected. I'm not out here trying to say you're wrong. What I'm trying to say is we have some postural asymmetries and we've got some limitations in range of motion. They overlay that with some other things that we work with. And what that does is it gives us a vector to go to work on really specific exercise that will help to get you stable and hopefully, like I said, get you through your triathlon training as unscathed as possible because your muscle system will actually be able to tolerate what it is that you're doing. So we've worked on your hips a little bit. We've worked on your trunk a little bit so far, progressing from work on the table to actual work in the gym. And your body seems to be responding to it pretty well. The only other recommendation I have is that you read Total Immersion to keep your swimming
Right.
as as efficient as possible, and we go from there.
Sounds good. Well, as I think I told you before we started this chat, I've just started swimming, so I'm picking up the pace on training. So we'll see where we go from here. I liked your explanation of muscle system. Thank you. That's the most complete explanation I've heard yet. So great. I will leave us with one thought. It's my thought, and I'm sure maybe not yours, but I have a big problem with this aging gracefully idea as a life goal.
Mhm.
It feels like giving up, giving in. Why can't we age athletically or maybe authentically? Um, I just I think it's important to continue doing the things we love to do uh, for as long as we can. You're right, time is undefeated. I think didn't Stallone say that in one of the Rocky movies?
He
It's a great
absolutely did.
line.
He absolutely did.
Yeah,
I think it
right.
was in I think it was in the first Creed movie. I think it was in the first Creed movie or Rocky 7, depending on who you're talking to.
But you still don't have to give up, right?
Absolutely. I agree. I agree. The whole idea, I think, is to live as high a quality of life as possible for as long as possible. And I liked what you said about aging athletically. And to answer your question, why can't we age athletically? Well, it's some sense, Bob, you know, all these all these ways of thinking comes down to experiments of n equals one. And in my view, it all starts with willingness. So you can age athletically. You, Bob, can age athletically because you have the willingness to do so, and you're undertaking the processes to make it happen. I think you should be applauded for that. It's exemplary. Having a goal like this is uncommon, and it is uncommon, especially at your age. And I think you're in a good position with a good base level of fitness to make it happen. And we're going to do our best to see to it that that happens.
This will be a really interesting journey for me, Sam. I'm glad you're leading the way. Thank you. We'll see you next time.
Thank you. And thank you everyone for listening. I would encourage you to keep following Bob's journey and appreciate your attention and time as much as it can be appreciated. See you soon.